The meeting has now begun.
Good morning, everyone. It's 10 on the dot. Actually, now it's 10:01, so we're going to go ahead and start our webinar. Thank you so much for joining 888 VoIP and Grandstream for today's GDMS webinar. We are really excited to review this innovative cloud service with you, as we really think it's going to help you manage all of your Grandstream devices. So I'm Danielle, I'm the marketing director over at 888, and we're just going to start by going over a quick housekeeping item. If at any time you have a question throughout the webinar, you can use the question button that's located at the bottom of your screen, the bottom of the deck, and then you can send us your question that way. Your line is going to remain muted at all times though. At the conclusion of our deck, Grandstream is going to be answering all of your questions, so just know we will get to those. Before we dive into discussing Grandstream though, I just want to provide you with a brief overview of 888 VoIP and who we are, in case you're unfamiliar with us. So since 2006, 888 VoIP has been a top value-added distributor of industry-leading VoIP hardware and software solutions like Grandstream. What sets us apart from other distributors is our vast offering of value-added services, which is going to fall under the umbrella of our Channel Advantage program. So what this program does is it offers any of our managed partners access to a whole slew of services, which includes customizable provisioning, advanced API, full cycle logistics, pre and post sales support, branded marketing collateral, inventory management, you name it, the list is going to go on. So what 888 really tries to do is that we try to strive to identify what our customers specifically need. And then we use our entire team, everybody here, to deliver a tailored solution that's going to help you. So we're not just focused on that sales piece. Yes, the sales piece is infinitely important, but we want to fully assist our partners with any of these back end processes just to make your life easier and to help accelerate your business. So last year, we added a lot to not only our business structure and our model, but also our portfolio. And in case you missed it, we had one huge announcement back in 2018, and that was the addition of our Reno, Nevada distribution facility. So that really makes us a nationwide distributor. We've always been, but now we have both East Coast and West Coast distribution presence. So there was a growing demand for West Coast fulfillment and support. So by adding this new facility, we were able to triple our warehouse space, add additional West Coast sales and support personnel, and help our customers now reach 85% of West Coast markets with just 1 and 2 day shipping. So that's just so quick. I mean, you're reaching those customers just with the snap of a finger. It's within 1 or 2 days. So that expansion has been critical to ensuring that our partners can really tap into West Coast opportunities and fulfill the needs of their already existing West Coast customers. So if you're interested in learning more about 888 VoIP, what we offer from Grandstream, which is going to include that upcoming GRP 2600 IP phone series, which is fantastic. Please make sure you join our May 15th webinar on that. And if you also want to learn how we can help with your Grandstream distribution specifically, please send our team an email. Our email is sales@888voip.com, or you can reach us by phone at 888-864-7786. I know that contact information is not up on the screen right now, but you can always access it just by reaching us on our site, which is 888voip.com. And as I mentioned, please feel free to join that GRP 2600 webinar that's coming up that we are also co-hosting. We did send out some emails, Grandstream did as well, and we do have that on our events page. We have our registration link there. So at this time, we're going to segue into what you came here for, the Grandstream portion of our presentation, and I'm going to go hand it over to Abdel.
All right, thank you, Danielle, and thanks everyone for joining us in this webinar. My name is Abdel Jaybar from the Grandstream support team here in North America. So today we're going to talk about the GDMS, which is the new cloud-based provisioning platform that's going to allow you to provision all your Grandstream devices. So this is a brief look at today's agenda. So we're just going to talk about the product overview, what the GDMS is and how you can use it. Then we're going to go through all the or most of the configuration pages available on the GDMS. Then we'll end up the webinar with some questions after going through the live demo. So GDMS, some of you might be familiar with it, others might not. So GDMS is the new cloud-based platform that's going to allow you to manage your deployed Grandstream devices from one centralized management interface. And as we will see later during the live demo, GDMS is easy to navigate web portal, makes deployment and monitoring Grandstream devices easier and more convenient in the way that uh, you can manage and monitor audio Grandstream devices on multiple sites and locations from one interface. Also, GDMS supports configuration presets for auto provisioning. And just to explain how auto provision works with the GDMS, and by default, all Grandstream devices come with the config server path fm.grandstream.com/gs, which points to GDMS and gaps. And so when the device is unboxed and plugged into your network, it will automatically contact GDMS. If you have a configuration preset or template for that specific device, GDMS will send the configuration file to the device without you touching the device or making any changes to it. And that being said, GDMS provides plug and play service. You can directly ship devices to customer premises without the need to unbox them and pre-configure them. All you do is add the MAC address and the serial number of the device to GDMS, and then assign it a configuration preset. And if you would like to use GDMS, it is currently available in beta, supporting only few models. I like WP820, GXV3370, and Detect solutions. You can simply create an account and just register and start playing or messing around with it, adding devices, provisioning them, and see how it works. So in terms of the specifications and features supported by GDMS, as I mentioned earlier, it is cloud-based on AWS, the Amazon Web Services. The communication between your computer, GDMS, and the devices is encrypted using HTTPS, which adds more security to your provisioning. Also, the login password to GDMS is hashed with the SHA-256 before being stored to mitigate any data breaches. In other words, if a credential database breach happens, all they gain access to is a hashed data. And as you know, it is difficult, if not impossible, to regenerate the original passwords if only the hash value is known. And the SHA-256 is a very strong hashing algorithm, and that's the one that they use in a blockchain with cryptocurrency, with the cryptocurrencies in the market. And another security aspect of GDMS to ensure private rights of devices. Devices being added to GDMS are authenticated with the MAC address and the serial number. And by the way, there are no limitations to the number of devices and SIP accounts that can be created and managed from GDMS. So in the upcoming slides, I will elaborate further on the other supported features like the available troubleshooting tools and device configuration with group templates and model templates. So GDMS management interface can be accessed using the link gdms.cloud. For first-time users, you need to sign up for GDMS account by simply entering some information like your name and email address. And after the registration is complete, you just activate the account and start using the GDMS. Um, some people are complaining about they can't hear the audio. Just make sure you use a different browser, either Chrome or Firefox, or just reboot your computer. Sometimes just make sure you enable the speaker on your phone so you can receive the audio. Because it looks like most people are getting audio. So for few participants, yeah. So the audio and video works fine. Just make sure you check your browser and fix any audio settings that you need to change on your browser. So when the first time when you create the account and you log into GDMS, and you want to start making your changes, the first step I would suggest when setting up your GDMS account is adding devices to your account. There are three ways how you can add devices to your account. If you have only a few devices that you would like to add, you can do that manually by entering the MAC address and the serial number associated with the device you would like to add. In case you have a large number of devices for mass deployment, there's the option to import CSV file with the device's MAC address and the serial numbers. And when you click on import devices, something that I'm going to show you during the live demo, the interface provides you with CSV templates that you can fill out with the MAC addresses and the serial numbers and the device names as well. And the third option is assigning devices to subordinate channels. This option is only available to channel distributors and service providers. And basically, they can obtain a list of purchased devices directly from the Grandstream ERP. So this is something that syncs automatically. So as an installer or reseller, you can associate your GDMS account with your distributor's channel account. And this way, when you make a purchase from your distributor, the devices can be quickly assigned to your account. And you will be able to manage these devices from your account. And if you want to see if your distributors, you might want to check with them if they provide that service. During the live demo, anyway, I'm going to show you just a quick example how you can set up that subordinate account. Also, GDMS provides the option to create a list of SIP servers or IPPBXs used for your clients. So after you add the IP addresses or the domain names of your SIP servers or your IPPBX, you can start adding SIP accounts and assigning them to already added devices. You can also add a batch of SIP accounts to your GDMS profile using the CSV templates provided by GDMS. So every time you go to GDMS and you do batch import, the GDMS will provide you with the CSV templates that you can use to fill out with the information so you can just upload it back to the GDMS. This is one of the, I would say, one of the best enhancements in GDMS is that it allows you to make changes to the device configuration using the GUI editor. Those of you who are familiar with GAPs basically use the P codes, the XML P codes, and then you add the value associated with the P code. With the GDMS, it provides you with two editors. You have access to the GUI editor, which is similar to the GUI interface of the phone, and it has most of the configurations or the configuration parameters available on the phones. In case you still want to use the P codes, there's also an option where you can switch between the GUI editor and the text editor. This is something also that we're going to explain during the live demo. And one important thing about using GDMS with SIP endpoints is make sure TR069 is enabled. By default, it is enabled. Just don't go to the phone and disable TR69 because that's the standard that GDMS uses to talk to the Grandstream SIP endpoints. GDMS also supports the option to schedule tasks on the UCM. You can tell the, I'm sorry, I'm talking about GDMS. You can tell the GDMS to schedule certain events like config updates. You can set up the updates, and you can tell the GDMS when to send the configuration updates to the devices. You can also schedule a firmware upgrade. So if your clients, they close from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m., you can schedule a firmware upgrade during that time for all the devices. And when you schedule the firmware upgrade, you basically set up a span of time, which means during the 3 hours, if you have like 300 phones and you want to upgrade them, the GDMS will upgrade one at a time or few at a time, just by setting up a time frame for the upgrade. I'm going to show you this anyway during the live demo. You can also use the option to reboot the SIP endpoint from the GDMS platform. This is similar to the zero config in the UCM, where it gives you the option to push changes and reboot the devices. That's close to whatever we have right now at the UCM level. You can also send the factory reset to the phone without the need to ask anybody to do a reset on the device. You can just access GDMS, access the device, and then click on factory reset, and the GDMS will send the command to the SIP endpoint to reset itself. All right. So this is another thing for scalability, is that GDMS allows you to add as many sites and locations as you want. So there is basically no limitation to the number of primary sites. Sometimes, like, you have a site, and below these sites you have different branches or subsites. The GDMS supports up to 6 levels of subsites, which gives you a total of 7 sites, 7 level of sites within the main sites. This is useful. I've seen an example like this one in university where they have different campuses, and they use the main site as the university, and then they create different subsites for each campus. There is also the option to move devices from one site to another site. So let's say you have devices uh, configured on campus 1 and you want to move all of them to campus 4. There is an option on GDMS where you can select the devices and just click on move, and it's going to ask you to select the destination site, and all the devices will switch to the second location. GDMS has several configuration pages that can be used to monitor and view the information and status of the devices. The assigned SIP account information, the status account, for example, if the extension is active or idle or busy. From the device management page, an administrator can also monitor the registration status of the accounts. If the account is still registered or unregistered, and also monitor the call status. If the account is busy or idle, GDMS is also built with an alert management service to alert you when certain events are triggered, like factory reset, reboot, or registration loss. When it comes to the troubleshooting tools available on the GDMS, basically it has the same troubleshooting tools available from the web interface of the SIP endpoints. There's an option where you can ping from the SIP endpoint. So let's say, for example, you have a device that is not able to register to like SIP cloud service. You can just, from GDMS, you can access the ping and the trace route, and you can initiate a ping. The ping and the trace routes gets initiated from the SIP endpoint, not from GDMS. So this way you would be able to trace the path that the SIP packets take to reach the SIP cloud service. There's also the option to take syslog, which is a very, very handy option right now before you have to set up like a syslog server or send the traffic to a capturing device. So now it makes it way easier. You just choose the device, and then you start the diagnostics, and then you choose syslog, and all the syslog from that specific devices will be uploaded to GDMS, so you can just download them and you can start troubleshooting them, or you can send them to Grandstream help desk to do the troubleshooting. There's also the packets capture from GDMS, and the packets capture is taken from the SIP endpoint, like the device itself. So let's say you have some registration issues or calls dropping and you want to do your troubleshooting. You don't need to log into the SIP server, the IPPBX, or the SIP endpoint. You just go to GDMS, you start the trace, make a test call, and stop the trace, and you can download the capture from GDMS. In terms of GDMS integration with other third-party APIs, this is currently this is not available on the beta version. The dev team, they're still working on the development of the API. So when the GDMS moves from beta to official, you will have the API integration, so you can integrate it with other systems where you can send information to it, or you can retrieve information from the GDMS to your API. All right, so I'm just going to jump to the GDMS web interface. So now I'm signed to one of my accounts, and it's very easy, as I mentioned. If you want to sign for an account, you just go to gdms.cloud, then sign up for an account, or just log in case you already have an account. Then you will be presented with an interface similar to this one. The first one is the dashboard. It gives you information about how many accounts do you have and how many devices are actually provisioned, and the sites, like how many sites do you have. Some of the information it gives you about the accounts is like you have 2 normal and 2 unassigned. Because the GDMS, you can create multiple extensions and then you can start assigning them. So we have only 2 assigned and the other 2 are not assigned yet. Then it gives you how many device is online, because I only have 2 devices. For example, if I have a device that has already been configured with GDMS, and for some reason it's got rebooted, and then it's not able to connect to GDMS, you're going to see that device under abnormal. There are also information about the sites and the model statistics. So basically the dashboard gives you a general idea about your devices, your sites, and your SIP accounts. The first thing you need to do when you start, if you want to start messing around with GDMS, or you want to actually use it to provision the devices, the first thing is create the SIP servers. So in my example here, I have few UCM devices here. I have the Boston UCM. I included the LAN IP address, and I also included the WAN IP address. Usually the WAN IP address should be a public IP address, but since this is only a test lab, that's why it's a private IP address. And then from here, after you create all your SIP, your UCMs, your cloud SIP platforms and SIP services, just add the information. It's very easy. Just click on add server. Then it's going to ask you to add some information like the server name, the IP address. If you are using outbound proxy, you just include the outbound proxy. The voicemail access by default in our Grandstream UCM appliances, we use star 97. And the DNS mode. The DNS mode, basically you touch it if you are using You change it if you are using a domain name. And some carriers, like they have one domain name for multiple SIP servers. It's like one domain is associated with multiple IP addresses. If that's the case, then you're going to have to use the SRV. Again, that's only useful in case you are using a domain name. The NAT traversal, some options like keep alive in case the phones are registered remotely, so they can keep the routing NAT table open. And then you have some other options that you can include here, like backup IP, failover SIP server, tell URL, and some other information. So I'm not going to add this one because I already have 3 SIP servers or IP PBXs. So after you add them, you go to SIP account. Then from SIP account, you start adding your accounts. So let's say I have this extension for a UCM, for a device that is trying to register to this UCM, and then you include the SIP extension number and the display name. So let's say, for example, this is for receptionist 1. You just include the name. You can add the device from here, or you can just create the SIP account, then you can go back again to the device manager, then you can start assigning accounts to each device. So in case you want to do it from here, you can choose the device, and let's say account 1 is already taken. I'm going to assign this extension to account 2, then just add, if you want to add more, let's say you want to add the same account to a different device, choose the device, MAC address, and select the accounts. So I'm going to use only accounts 2, save, and apply. So it shows abnormal here because it has not, this will take some time to push the configuration to the device. When we come back later, after we push the changes, it's going to change from abnormal to normal. If you want to add or import a list of SIP extensions, because the UCM has the option where you can export SIP extensions to a CSV file. So let's say you have a UCM and you want to export them to GDMS. The UCM uses a different CSV template. So it's very simple. Just click on General Device Template. It's going to give you like a SIP template. This is for devices, something like this. So just copy and paste, and once you're done, you just come back here and then you upload all the settings to all the SIP extensions to GDMS. Next, we move to device management and what you can do from this device management. So as you see, because we just created an extension and we assigned it to the GRP 2614, now the provisioning is taking place. It's like the GDMS is sending this SIP account to the phone so that the phone can configure itself. After like a few seconds, or probably less than a minute, it's going to change from abnormal to normal. So this is where you add your devices. I already have 2 devices. In case you want to add more, you just click on add device, then you give it a name. If this is the receptionist phone, you can add receptionist, then you include the MAC address. All Grandstream MAC addresses, they start with 000B82. Then finish the MAC address, then enter the serial number. The serial number is basically included in the sticker in the back of the phone. And then you assign this phone to a location or client or a subsite. So that depends where you want to deploy this phone. Or you can just leave it in default, and then you save and apply, and later you can change it to a different site. So these are the devices. You can import a list of devices in case you have like 100 or 200 phones that you would like to add to GDMS. Just use the template. It looks similar to this one. You just include the MAC addresses, the associated serial numbers, the device name, and then the site that you would like to assign them to. And then you just come back here and you upload the CSV file to populate this page with all the devices that you would like to manage and provision. So after you added the devices, there's also the option with a firmware upgrade. So with the firmware option, now you can download the firmware from the GDMS interface without going to the website firmware.grandstream.com. And let's say you have, like the Grandstream released a new official firmware, and the phones that you have, they still have the old firmware. All you need to do, for example, to update these phones is just click on this upgrade option, and then you can select the devices that you would like to upgrade. For example, if I have this one, then I can tell the GDMS, for example, upgrade now, so it can send the request to start the upgrade immediately, or I can schedule a firmware upgrade. So after the employees or the personnel leaves at 6 p.m., I can tell the GDMS to start the firmware upgrade at 8 p.m. when nobody's in the office. So these are the options that you have. You can select them, or you can include the MAC addresses. You can copy and paste the MAC addresses here, and then you can tell the GDMS whether to upgrade them immediately or based on a scheduled time schedule. There is also an option here which is customize or custom firmware. This is the difference. This one includes the official firmware. Suppose we have released a beta firmware that you would like to test on one of the phones. You can always go to custom firmware, and then you can upload the beta firmware, and it's going to show up here. And basically, once it shows up here, what you're gonna have is an interface similar to this one. So once you click again on push firmware update, it's going to give you the same interface where you would need to choose the devices that you would like to upgrade. In case, for example, you only have one device that you would like to upgrade to the beta version, you can just select the device and then update now so you can start testing the beta version. Next, let's move to the device configuration. You have three options when you create the device configuration. You can configure one device at a time. Let me go back here. Probably I didn't mention this. So let's say I added this phone and I would like to start making changes to the configuration of the phone. I just click on Edit Configuration, then it provides me with the GUI interface. This one is similar to the one in the web interface of the phones, where you can look for the setting that you would like to change, and then you can start making changes to it. And every time you make a change to it, it shows right here. So it tells you how many changes you made. And it's highlighted in blue, so in case you made a mistake and you want to go back and change it back, it gets very easy. So you know which settings where you made your changes. So you just go back there, click on it, and you look for the one highlighted in blue. And then you can start making your changes. So this is the GUI editor. In case you want to use the text editor, you can click on this icon to switch between the two. The difference here is that GDMS uses the TXT value, which means you just get the value, the number, the P code value, and then the associated value with the P code. So we're not using XML configuration. In case you want to use the XML, let's say you have configurations already ready with XML format, you can import the XML configuration files using this by CFG. So this is the one that you need to use. Just go to import configuration, and then you can either drag and drop the config file, or you can just upload the XML configuration file that you already have ready. There's also the option where you can configure devices by group. So let's say I want to change 3 phones, but these 3 phones, they belong to different models. One of them is WP820, the other one is GXV3370, and I want to make one change to all of these phones from different model family. If that's the case, that's when you need to use the add group template. It basically works the same way. So let's say you want to change the time. and I have 2 devices from 2 models. Then save. Then it's going to take me to the GUI editor, like the same way from the device configuration. Then from here, I can go and look for the time, and then I can change it. Let's say this customer is in the East Coast, and they want to change it to -5 instead of +8. I can always do it from here, and then make all the changes that I need, and send the New York, and then save and apply, and the GDMS will send these changes immediately to these phones. And then it highlights, it tells you how many changes you made and where you made those changes. So in case you made a mistake, you can always go back there and change them. Now let's go to site management. Site management, as I mentioned, you can create as many sites as you want. And in case you have sub-levels of sites, you have up to 6 sub-sites with a total of 7 site levels. From here, you can add devices, you can edit the name, you can delete them. For example, here I have XYZ University, and they have 2 sub-sites. One is Campus 1, and the other one is Campus 2. In case, let's say you have devices in Campus 1, similar to the one in default, and you want to move them, or you have these devices in default, then you want to move them to Campus 1, select the devices, and you just go back here and you choose Campus 1, and then save and apply. And these devices will go to Campus 1. So that's it makes like your deployment, the management of devices way easier and really convenient for you. So you don't have to go to any device. You just select and you switch between the devices. Yeah, let me go back here. In case you want to add sites, you just click on add site. It's very straightforward. Just give it a name. In case this is a subsite of another site, you just choose let's say Morgan Law Office. They want to have a remote branch. I can call it a remote branch and choose the Morgan's Law Office as the primary or the parent site. Then it will become a part of the Morgan's Law Office. For task management, this is where you schedule your events. So you just click on Add Task, and you can assign it a name so you remember what task is that one. And then you choose from these events. So the first event that you have is reboot. So in case you want to schedule a reboot, just select reboot, select the device, and you can tell GDMS immediate or scheduled. So let's say you like to reboot devices at the end of every week, let's say like Friday night. You can just make a schedule here for Friday night and give it like, this is what I was talking about earlier. It gives you like a time frame. You can specify 2 hours where the upgrades and the reboot will take place. This way, GDMS will try to upgrade one at a time, so not all the phones upgrade at the same time. You can also choose factory reset, firmware upgrade, and upload config by model or by group to send it to the configuration. In terms of the device diagnostics, so you have access to all your devices from here, and then you just go to diagnose again. So it's going to start the diagnose mode. And this is where you have the options to choose like ping, trace route, syslog, and capture trace. So let's say this phone has some issues. You call the Grandstream help desk. They tell you, hey, we need a network trace that captures a test call with the issue that you reported. You just go choose a device, start the trace, and you can ask someone to make a test call. When you're done, you just stop the trace. And once you stop it, it will show under here, and from here you can just download it and attach it to the ticket. You can do all that without the need to go to the device and log into the web interface and start taking the capture. You can also initiate like a ping from, let's use this device. So let's say you want to ping the Google host. You just put the IP address, and the GDMS will send the request to the SIP endpoint to ask the device to start pinging, and then the results will get uploaded here under the GDMS configuration page. So it gives you the information here, like 10 packets transmitted, 10 received, which means the connection is good. If you had the connection bad, you would see like 0 received. So these are the diagnostics tools available on the GDMS. Then you can go back and, sorry, then you can go back here and stop the diagnostics tools. Next, we have the alert management. There's two options here. I would like to talk about these. So before I talk about these, actually, let me go back to the account here, because I want to show you how you can create users under the main account. Let's say this is your GDMS account for the company's devices. So all your devices are in this account, but you still want to provide access to certain users, but you want them only to monitor, but you don't want to give them the privilege to make changes. So if you want to add users, you just click on the system management, user management. First of all, you need to define a role. The role, basically, you choose the tasks or the options that you want them to be available for that user. And then you, it's like you assign a name to that privilege, custom privilege level, where you choose, let's say, for example, you just want them to monitor the devices to make sure they are all registered and to monitor the SIP accounts. You can only choose these two options. And if this is only for the supervisor, just give it a name, and you can include description. This is optional. You can customize it your own way, save and apply. So now that we defined the role, you just go to user, add sub-user, give it a name, include the email address of the sub-user, and then you can choose the role that you would like to assign to that specific user. In my case, I have two users. I have my account and I have a junior admin. So I have two accounts. So let me go back to alert management to explain what this option is for. So this is for email notification settings. So every time there is an event that is generated by any of the phones, let's say a phone that got factory reset, or a phone that rebooted, or a phone that lost registration, the GDMS will send you an email that looks similar to this one. It's like it tells you the device and the alerts type. So this device got reset, and it tells you the date and the time when the event took place. So this way you would know which device to go back and start doing your troubleshooting or doing your investigation. So in the email notification settings, only the main or the admin is included. So in case you would like to add the junior admin to also receive this email notification, just select the name and save and apply. Oh, so I have to go to the role and change the junior admin, so I would be able to add him to the email notification settings. The message notification settings, we're talking about this option right here. So I'm logged in as the admin right now, and I have access to these options. Every time there's an event, this bell is going to start like moving to tell me that there is an alert event on the GDMS. Then I can click the device, then it's going to take me to basically this page, so I can see the details associated with that alert event. So it just gives me the device, the MAC address, and the event that took place. Once you read the alert, you will see that the alert notification will disappear. Another option here that you can do actually is channel management. And before I do that, I would like just to talk a little bit about this. About GDMS, this is the user manual. So in case you want to download the user manual of GDMS so you can learn about the features and what they do and how you can use them, just click on this option and then you go to administration guide, click on it, and then it's going to take you to the user or the administration guide of GDMS. So you can read about it and learn about all the options available on GDMS. So this is the last part that I'm going to talk about on the web UI. This is where you create your sub-channels. So let's say you are a distributor and you sell devices to your installers and resellers. And if you would like to add them to your main account, you just go to sub-channel, then it's going to ask you for the link address. The link address, basically you tell the reseller or the installer that you would like to add to go to their username and go to personal information. And that's the channel URL that they need to send you so you can add them as a sub-channel to your main account. Suppose, for example, today you buy your devices from distributor A. The next day you want to change it to distributor B and you don't want to deal with distributor A anymore. It's very simple. You just go and you reset the URL address so that the previous distributor will not have your account as a sub-channel account in their main account. Just click on reset address. So let me go back to channel management. And this is only an option. This is the one that I told you earlier, sync with ERP, the Grandstream ERP. This is only available to distributors and service providers. So if you are a service provider or channel distributor, like a partner of Grandstream, you can request to have the ERP sync with your account. So every time you purchase devices, they will sync automatically with your accounts. Then from here, you can select devices and you can assign them to your sub or subordinate channel accounts when they purchase devices from you. I believe this is it for today's presentation. We still have 10 minutes to answer your questions. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A section. Let me go back. So there is a question that's been forwarded by Danielle. It says, will we be able to add a device by Mac so long as it's not in someone else's account? No, you can't, because when you add devices to GDMS, there's an authentication process that takes place. That authentication process takes the MAC address and the serial number. Let me go back here to the web interface, to device management. So let's say you want to add a device. Okay, you put a name in there, you enter the MAC address and the SN and the serial number. If that information is incorrect, you would not be able to add it. The system is going to generate an error for you to tell you that this device cannot be added to your profile. Oh, my battery is dying. So again, the MAC address and the serial number are mandatory to add devices. Jeff is asking what requirements are there to add devices. I have added to GDMS, but they never go online. Is that something that needs to be enabled? Again, dot 49, that's the latest firmware. And I have a GXV on the same firmware that I was able to add to GDMS. Make sure that TR, it's under, I believe, upgrade and provisioning. Make sure that that one is enabled and it's not disabled. If you are still unable to add this device to GDMS, just open a ticket with us and someone can remote in, and then we can take traces and check the configuration to make sure exactly what the problem is. There's another question. We keep record of the MACs, but never of the serial because they were not used. Can we add? No, again, that's the same question like the previous one. You can't add accounts or devices to GDMS with only MAC addresses. You need MAC address and serial number. Eric is asking, GDMS is a method of programming reconfiguring the you have logging into the phone switch. That is correct, Eric. So from GDMS, you just plug the device. If it's a default setting and you have it added to your GDMS, it will automatically be talk to GDMS and add it to GDMS so you can start making to it. Zach is asking which models will this work with? Well, let me go back here. So when you do add device, I believe it's under firmware, yes. So currently this is a beta. I mean, you can see it right here. This is still a beta testing GDMS. And currently we only support like 5 models: GXB3370, 820, 20 GRP series, and the DP750 and 752. This is only for the beta. After it's released as official firmware, we will add more devices to it. And in the long term, some like the replacement of our gaps and the also can be integrated with the manager access points from GDMS as well. But in the short term, we're going to add more devices for GDMS. Ludo is asking, can we have admin accounts for subsites to assign to local IT teams? As I showed you during the live demo, so probably you've seen that one during the live demo. You just go, if you are the channel manager, you just create add sub-channel accounts using the information, like the URL in the person information, and that's how you add them. There's another question for any existing listeners out answering this question, I just want to tell you that this is a beta version. I mean, yes.
We are just having a little bit of difficulty hearing you, and sometimes it sounds very muffled or we can't hear you at all. So just letting you know.
How about now? Do you hear me now better?
Sounds good right now. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, because I'm using to hold on, let me get that thing closer.
Thank you. I'll let you know if I hear it again.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, I was talking about the other question. There is a new version of GDMS that's going to be released probably in a couple of months, which will include more enhancements based on the feedback that we received from the beta testers. And one of them is related to the UCM, so that the information from zero config or the UCM can be synced with the GDMS. But so far, I can't tell you anything because I haven't tested it, I haven't played with it. So probably something that we can consider in the future. There's an option. I noticed that the MAC addresses formats include the code and character, but when we scan the MAC addresses either from the master box or from the phone, the same does not include. Maybe a problem. Oh, that's a good point, Alex. Yeah, that's something probably that we can consider in this beta version. I'm taking note of this one right now, so we can report it to the dev team, so they can add an option where you can include the MAC address without delimiters. How would the GDMS work with BroadWorks system? Currently, we use gaps to redirect phones to BroadWorks and provisioning servers to get phones configuration. So let me go back here to one of the devices. Let me go back here. This is account. Yeah, I don't see the maintenance option. Yeah, that's a good question, actually, Nicorn. I'm taking note of that one, so I can share it with the dev team. And if I have an answer, like today, I'm going to send it to your email. So I'm taking note of your name so I can send you that information to your email. That's a good question, actually. Uh, Eric is asking, is there an additional cost to using GDMS? So in case you just log in, you go to the website and you create your own account and you start adding devices to GDMS, there is no cost associated with that. But in case you want somebody else to manage your account and add devices to it, that's a different story. This is something that you need to talk to whoever handles your account. She is asking, would the GXP models be supported in GDMS? This is going to be in the next version of GDMS. I believe they're going to add the GXP models to the GDMS so you can manage them as well. There's another question. Also, the new phone models GRP 2600 series will support XML config and the P codes will be gone. Will GDMS support XML? Yeah, as I mentioned, GRP actually they're going to support both XML and ADS based configuration. So in case you are still using XML, that's when you need to use the CFG format. So you have to go here by CFG and you start uploading your XML configuration files to GRP. Otherwise, you can just go to the device and you can convert the XML format to TXT format, and then you can upload them to the phone using the text editor, so you can upload your devices here. So I have 1 more minute. I'm just gonna go through a couple of more questions. How can I migrate the devices from GAPS to GDMS? This is too early for that question, I believe, but I'm pretty sure the time when the GDMS will be released as official, that's when we're gonna come up with a documentation that probably gonna explain to you how to migrate these accounts from GAPS to GDMS. So there will always be something like a solution to seamlessly migrate devices from GAPS to GDMS. But right now in the beta version, it's not there yet. But that's a good point, actually. One last question. When changing parameters, will this require factory resets each time you apply? No, this does not require factory reset. So every time, for example, you go here and you start making your changes, you save and apply, the changes will be sent directly or automatically to the device so that they can take place immediately. There is no factory reset. The same way you do it from GDMS is similar to the way you do it from the web interface of the phone, except that they're using different protocols and different mechanisms to make these changes happen. So I believe that's it for today. I still see there are some questions there. I'm gonna try to answer them by email, and I'm gonna send you the link for the recording as well as a response on answer to all the pending questions. So you can watch the recording at your own pace and also have the answers for your questions that haven't been asked during the presentation. Danielle, do you have any
I'm not sure if we lost Abdel here. All right, guys. Well, as Abdel said, he's going to send out the recording. And if you had any questions that were left unanswered, he will also reach out to an email. So thanks, guys. It was great to have you on the webinar today. And as I had mentioned an hour ago, please feel free to sign up for next week's GRP 2600 webinar that we will also be hosting with Grandstream. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.